A very good morning to one and all. So today we are going to start our first session of phase 3. Okay, so let me introduce our today's speaker, Professor Manoj Kakade sir. He is an assistant professor in the Work Integrated Learning Programs Division of BITS Pilani, Pune. He holds Masters of Engineering in VLSI, Embedded Systems. His area of expertise is embedded system design and IoT. He worked as one of the reviewer for the book titled Internet of Things by Pearson Edition. He also guides undergraduate and graduate level students pursuing dissertations and research in areas such as embedded systems, designs, and IoT. Presently, he is involved in curriculum design, development, and delivery for various corporate industries for upgrading the skill set required as per industry needs. He is a Pan-India coordinator for postgraduate certificate program in Internet of Things, an advanced level program from BITS Pilani WILP division, designed specially to cater the needs of corporate employees. Okay, so welcome, sir, for the first session. So I hand over to Professor Kakade, sir, to please take on the session.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. What should be the flow? Should I start and then at the end of the session, can we take the questions, or intermediate questions are allowed?
Vedula madam.
Sorry, as per your convenience. If you feel it convenient, then you
No,
can after your session you can answer.
Yeah, because what happens when we go into the presentation mode in the Gmeet,
Yes,
the chat window gets disabled.
Okay.
So whatever the questions are, the charts are there, we will not be able to cater them on the go.
Okay.
So I will spare 10 minutes of my time from every session today to answer the queries of the participants. I hope this is fine with all.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you very much for giving me opportunity to present some insights about Internet of Things. I am involved in Internet of Things from year 2016 since I joined BITS Pilani, and many people might be surprised what I am doing in Pune, because we have our campuses in Pilani, Dubai, Goa, and Hyderabad. So generally we have our off-campus stations across the country, right? Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Noida, and we are the professors which are catering the need of industry by imparting their skill-based trainings to the industry professionals. So I belong to that division of BITS Pilani. In Pune, we cater the requirements of the companies or the corporate employees, varied from the organizations just like Tata Motors, Cummins, John Deere, Bharat Forge, Kalyani, Wipro, to name a few. And I belong to a triple department. So my area is embedded system and IoT. I have developed certain labs for Internet of Things and given hands-on training to various industry participants. So today I will be discussing about the first session is quite introductory. So that is what is the technology of Internet of Things? What are the various constraints that are there when we are going to implement IoT, and various applications and challenges while implementing the Internet of Things. Similarly, as this is an what are the research areas in which we can focus on Internet of Things in today's era, that has also been given insight of. So in this first session, rather we will be discussing about industrial revolutions, various revolutions that has occurred, and what are the now everybody is talking about Industry 4.0, and any technology or any system to prosper, the first important aspect is the industry should accommodate that technology. Unless otherwise industry supports that technology, the widespread of any technology, just like told by Professor Vaidya and Colonel Sir, like IoT is one of the emerging area, then cyber physical systems are there, then AI ML are there. So why these are emerging technologies? Because the industry has adopted those technologies, and hence there is a demand of the skilled manpower in these technologies, and hence we are now discussing such kind of technologies in FDPs and various platforms. We will talk about what is the definition of IoT, what is the physical design. The physical design of IoT will be again taken in detail in the next session, where what are the requirements when you are going to design a prototype or a proof of concept. And in this second session, we will be discussing about two case studies, which luckily I am a part of. One in the capacity of consultant to one of the companies in Pune, and another with my students, we have developed some proof of concept for Indian Meteorological Department. So while taking care of this physical design aspect of IoT, we will just go and touch the important aspect when you are going to physically deploy certain IoT applications in the industrial scenario. Then in this session, what are the enabling technologies? Like IoT is not a one technology, it is amalgamation of various technologies which are coming together to form a end-to-end applications in IoT. And some levels and deployment templates, like whenever you are going to design any IoT application, generally there are certain levels of IoT starting from level 1 to level 6, and what are the aspects of various levels and what are the various applications which are coming into these levels that we are going to study. And then we will just go and see the widespread of IoT in different application domains in industry. Okay, so let us quickly see how the industrial revolution has occurred over the period of last 2-3 centuries. So basically, the industrial revolution or industry 1.0 was based on mechanical production driven by basically water and steam power. Then came industry 2.0, which was again based on electrical energy, where the paradigm shift from mechanical or water and steam power to the electrical energy, and hence the mass production took place. Remember this, in every industrial revolution, the job aspect scenario, what Professor Vishwas Vaidya was talking about, Vaidya sir was talking about, as the technology changes, the job profile of every candidate in an industry will change. So today, if the person is working on X technology and there is a revolution where the paradigm shift in the technology changes, these people have to accommodate to the changes, and better job perspective in the newer field arises. Okay, so similarly, like this, from water steam then to the electrical energy, now 3.0 we all were part of, where it was based on computer and electronics, and further enhancement to the automation industry, where robotics and these kind of things got into picture. And now, like since 2010 or early 2000, we are talking about Industry 4.0, that is generally based on cyber physical system, means the connected devices and all the objects connected through a common platform, which is a global internet, and they are able to do the work in coherence with each other. So again, the pictorial representation of the era where the various industrial revolution took place was, you can see that in 18th century, end of 18th century, Industrial Revolution 1 came, where again, as I told, water and steam was used to go for manufacturing of various industrial products. Then Industrial Revolution 2, 3, and now we are at Industrial Revolution 4.0. Now, Industrial Revolution 4.0 will not only cater Internet of Things, but it has various other technologies which was mentioned by the inaugural speakers, like cyber security, then AI, ML, then additive manufacturing. Whenever we were talking about 3D printings or such kind of technology, the additive manufacturing is the name or the buzzword which comes into picture for 3D printing and such kind of technologies. So how again the leaders where it started, the Industry 4.0 was in the European Union, where the Germany took the leadership, and with the vision that every industry or the smart factory, which has been again termed as one of the applications of Internet of Things, is the Industry 4.0 is based on the concept of cyber physical systems that we are going to study, and Internet of Things, Internet of Services, Internet of Objects, you call with different names, and the common vision was the smart factory. Here, the basic principle of cyber physical systems are to communicate and cooperate with each other and human in real time. So that becomes a very important aspect. And with the technological shift, recently we have seen the 5G trials will be on in the India. So as the internet is penetrating across the length and breadth of the India, the Industry 4.0 or Internet of Things will be a reality in each and every part of the country sooner or later. And again, via Internet of Services, both internal and cross-organizational services, right from planning to raw material procurement to the servicing, everything is been done on the go nowadays. Okay, so again, what is the building blocks of that is it is going to build a digital revolution. The data, again, the third topic of today's discussion will be the data management. As every now and then when we are up to the internet or to the digital platform, we are continuously generating the data day in and day out. So how to manage that data and how to get the optimum output from the data that is getting generated. That is again one of the important aspects of Industry 4.0. And ubiquitous internet means that internet should be available everywhere and anywhere at any part of the globe. Another important aspect is smaller and powerful sensors, which are nowadays becoming a reality. I will just give you one case study on the fly. Now, nowadays, the car manufacturers like Tata Motors or Maruti, in some of their cars, they have sensors which are fitted inside the tires of the car to check the tire pressure of the wheels. Okay, so 10 years or 5 years down the line, we might not have even imagined there will be a sensor to sense the tire pressure, and now that tire pressure is available on the dashboard. Now, what they claim, when you are running your car with a lower tire pressure, the efficiency of the car goes down. So to monitor the tire pressure, they have put a sensor inside the tires of the car, and now the tire pressure is available on the dashboard. now when your car the tire pressure decreases, you will be able to know that whether there is some fault in the tire, or that can be notified on the dashboard. Once it gets connected to a internet, like connected cars and connected vehicles are going to be reality sooner or later, then on the fly you will have a notifications on your mobile and other things about the thing. So the thing is, like, the sensors are becoming cheap, and they are becoming more and more digital sensors are getting developed nowadays to suit the application requirement of IoT. Similarly, AI ML is a hot topic, which is again catering the industry 4.0, which inherently reduces the labor and energy cost. So when we talk about industry 4.0, we have to take care of things that is called as cyber physical systems. And there are 3 C's involved in the cyber physical system in the triangle. You can see that the 3 main pillar of cyber physical system is computation, means you require stronger processors and the devices to do the computation in the near real time. Then communication and control of the system. Okay, so the information needs to be flown from one system to another system through various communication protocol in near real time. You should be able to not only monitor the system, but you should be able to control the systems, and your system should be capable enough to do the real-time computation. So again, one of the case studies is when you are doing image processing kind of thing, then you require processors which can compute the images or video streams which are coming continuously. So these are the systems which will have the capabilities to add to the physical system by merging the 3 pillars, like computing, communicating with the physical process that has been taken in the industrial environment. And these are the 6 design principles which we consider as an important principles as compared to industry 4.0. That is, they need to be interoperable. Okay, so means what? If you might have heard about the CNC machines, or in the industry where there are computerized numerical control machines, where with the change in the code and certain fixtures, you can utilize the same machine to do various tasks such as drilling, milling, all these kind of things. Then digital twins or virtualization or virtual copy is important. Linking sensor data with the various models. Decentralization, that is again the ability of cyber physical systems within the smart factories to make decisions on their own. As I said, one of the important features of industry 4.0 is real-time capabilities, service orientation, and modularity. So these are the 6 design principles. Now we are not interested in how we are going to work on industry 4.0, but what will be the benefit of industry 4.0 to the existing industry. So as to, because see, whenever we are changing from industry 3.0 to 4.0, there are many aspects of it, the financial and the technological change that needs to be adopted by an industry. But the industry has to evaluate what it is going to gain out of implementing all these kind of new technologies in their existing industries. Okay, so the potential implications or applications of industry 4.0 is robot assistance production, where human intervention will be minimal, where it will help generally the manufacturing industries where people are working in all the 3 shifts. Many of the tasks can be offloaded to the robots, where the human beings will be deployed to monitor the production rather than actually doing the production work. Then another important aspect to reduce the downtime of the industry, that is called as predictive maintenance. So with Industry 4.0 or Internet of Things, we can do predictive maintenance, just like in this one of the example of predictive maintenance in the industry is you can use a vibration sensor to monitor the vibrations of a engine or the motor, and when there is a change in the vibration parameters of the motor, or when the motor is going to fail, the vibrations changes. And if these vibrations are monitored and appropriate AI/ML algorithms are being running on top of the vibration data, you will be able to predict when the machine or the motor is going to fail. So if it is going to fail in the next 3 or 4 days, appropriate maintenance action can be provided on top of it to avoid the breakage of the machine. So that is a preventive maintenance. So again, we can utilize that for enhancing the productivity in the shop floor. Then additive manufacturing of the complex part, that is nothing but the 3D printing technology which are coming in place in various organizations to quickly check the POCs and other concepts before going for a final production. Then machines as a service, big data driven quality, these all things we are going to see in the third session, how IoT generates the data and how data can be used to drive the quality control of an organization. Then you can simulate your production line, and the one of the emerging applications again in the blockchain, which is an important aspect of Industry 4.0, which is generally helping in the supply chain management of organizations. So this is just inputs from Amazon warehouses, where in 2013 the work was done manually completely. And remember, these Amazon warehouses are in acres and acres of land in US, where the huge manpower was required to manage these warehouses for the inventory management kind of thing. And slowly they have gone from manual work to complete automation, like using of robot for their complete warehouse maintenance and day-to-day activities. So almost 45,000 robots are now deployed way back in 2006 in Amazon warehouses to manage their day-to-day activity. Again, a case study of Industry 4.0. Some of the other examples of Industry 4.0 is there is one German manufacturing giant which is been known to everybody, which is Siemens. Again, they have a good plant in Pune also, and we have a tie-up with them also. So basically, they have their various softwares and divisions here, which are, again, they are supporting medical engineering or facilities. So after implementing an Industry 4.0 solution in medical engineering, what they have achieved. So for years, like artificial knee and hip joints were standardized products, and with engineers needing several days to customize them for patient, because now this product cannot be a standard product. Every human being has different biological and physical structure. So for every human being, you have to tailor-made the artificial knee and hip joint, if at all there is a requirement for knee and hip replacement surgery. Now with the software, which is again right from taking the feeding their inputs, length, width, and various aspects of a patient to the software, and then coming up with a solution. Now they can produce an implant within 3 to 4 hours. So now you can see that with implementation of Industry 4.0, the work which generally used to take 3 to 4 weeks now, or several days, are been done in 3 to 4 hours. So that is one of the case studies from Siemens. Another is one of the leading tool manufacturing, which is called as TrumpF, is again one of the company which is supplier and worldwide market leader in the laser systems. So again, each component of this particular system is now smart and knows what work has already been carried on it. And because now the production facility already knows the capacity utilization and communicates with other facilities, production options are automatically optimized. So again, this is one of the real life applications where the implementation of Industry 4.0 or IoT has given them an enhanced utilization of their resources. Then again, General Electric is again one of the big name in the industry, which is again have their own operating system, which is called as PREDX, which is operating system for Industrial Internet of Things, or we call it as an IIoT, which is again powering digital industrial business that drive global economy by connecting industrial equipments and analyzing data. So this is one of the application. Now these are the 4 applications which you might be aware of with the help of connected or Internet of Things. Philips lighting is one of the applications where you can control your on and off with a mobile app. Similarly, you have Medtronic is a company which has an digital blood glucose meter which connects wirelessly to monitor and display the device and can alert patient to the trend in glucose level requiring an attention. One thing which is coming again is a smart fiber, which is there are certain sensors which are put inside your t-shirt or shirt which you are wearing, and that will connect to your mobile device with NFC or Bluetooth, BLE, whatever the technology that they support is, and then they can tell you how many calories you have burned and other things. Similarly, many of you might be using smart watches nowadays, or which in this pandemic is becoming quite relevant to monitor your blood SpO2 and oxygen level and other things. And then if those smart or Fitbits, which we call it, if you use that Fitbit, your data will be continuously recorded and put into the internet, and if there is some variations in the data which can be alerted to a user. Similarly, there is a Babolat is an one of the device where your sensors are put inside the racket of the tennis player, and it will be used to analyze the ball speed, spin, impact, from where, at which location when you hit the ball, what was the impact, and the data will be given to the your nearest mobile device, and you can track your improvements day in and day out. Latestly, Anil Kumble has invested in an IoT startup, which is again there will be some sensors or things which are been implanted onto the bat to know the impact of the ball and other things. So the technology is getting used to know how much speed the ball was the bat impacted the ball and other things. So you have enormous amount of applications of Internet of Things. Now various forces that will be required to support Industry 4.0 is we have seen autonomous robots, big data analytics, augmented reality, additive manufacturing, that is nothing but 3D printing, cyber security. Again, we are going to teach some aspect of security aspect of IoT, industrial Internet of Things, and horizontal and vertical system integration. Now we will start with Internet of Things. Now to support these applications of Industry 4.0, IoT becomes an invariably important aspect to support Industry 4.0. So let us start with the concept of IoT and why it is becoming very popular nowadays with reference to the technology. So I have just taken two instance from European Union and US Union. In the US National Intelligence Council has considered it as one of the 6 disruptive civil technologies with the potential impacts on US national power. And in 2009, the European Union issued a report named Internet of Things, an action plan of Europe. So that is where all the applications like GE, Siemens, these were the companies, they have a strong base in European Union. So they have started working or research on this technology way back in 2009, and hence they are the market leaders, and they have many of the applications which are already rolled out in this technology. So the report is proposed that it is essential to take measures to ensure that Europe plays a leading role in construction of new internet, namely IoT. So various developed countries, developed organizations have started their work way back early in 2000. So now they are at very advanced stage. And again, one of the important aspects of IoT was availability of internet and connectivity to their locations ahead of the developed nations. So they could penetrate that IoT applications widely. So again, the Internet of Things have two concepts. One is internet oriented and things oriented. So we will study both of things, where internet is a primary requirement of Internet of Things, and things are nothing but the physical devices or the end devices which will capture the data, which will be able to control the data day in and day out. So just for a theoretical concept, like the definition or the IoT was defined by Canberg in 2008 as a dynamic global internetwork. Means it is an amalgamation of various networks with self-configuring capabilities. Means any entity coming inside the network that will be able to configure himself to the network and start giving inputs to that network or start contributing itself to that particular network. It can be of various devices, mechanical and digital machines, objects, animals, people that have unique identity. So every person which is coming into a network should have a unique identity, and that is the concept of internet protocols as well. So that we are going to study or discuss, which has unique identities, physical attributes, and virtual personalities, seamlessly integrated to transfer information. Whatever the information I am carrying, if I am into the network, I will transfer my information associated with the users and environment over the network without human interference. So that is very important, which is without human interference. So one of the self-configuring capability devices, everybody might be aware of USB or pen drive. So that is nothing but a self-configuring device. Whenever you put your pen drive onto your laptop or your machine detect that and it configures that USB so that it can be utilized. So that device was not part of your network. Now once you put that device, USB device or a pen drive, what we call generally, into your machine, your operating system or the system configures that device, or that device has a self-configuring capability to adjust to this information or to adjust to this set, and then starts transferring the data. Now if you have a 3 different USB port or 5 different USB port, I am trying to tell you the unique identities aspect. Now every USB port will be named uniquely. So it might be, if you have already configured that USB with your name, it will show your name. If not, it will show USB A, USB B, USB C. So that every USB which has been now part of your network or part of your system will have a unique identity. And with reference to that identity, then you can start contributing to the network, or whenever you want to share the data from one USB to another USB, that can be done. Okay, so the in the simple words, when we can say there are certain physical objects such as controllers, sensors, actuators, plus internet, it becomes Internet of things. Now, the important aspect of Internet of Things is the data which it will generate, or the sensors which are being connected to your device to give the information about the physical or environmental information that will produce the data, and that data is called as a raw and unprocessed data. Now that data needs to be converted into information and then subsequently into the knowledge so as to act upon. Now suppose if I say 10 kg, now 10 kg is just a data. Now how it will become to an information? When I say 10 kg of wheat or jowar or bajra, then it becomes an information. And at knowledge means at what you can infer from that particular 10 kg of wheat, jowar, bajra. So let us take a real life example from a weather monitoring station, where you will understand the difference between data, information and knowledge. So the thing is, like the raw sensor measurement such as 78H, 56H, 22H, A0H. Now this is a data which has been acquired by the sensor. Now this is called as a just a data. It is not an yet not an information, yet not a knowledge. Okay. Now this will not have any significant. But now if you see a context added to this information, the data represents 78H is nothing but a temperature, 56 is a humidity, 22H is a pressure, and A0H is a rainfall at 9:45 AM on 6th May 2021, and this can be again condensed and further processed, like average reading over past 5 minutes or an hour. Now this raw data has now become an information. Now this information, we need to convert that information into knowledge so that we can act on top of it. Now, if you organize this information and understand the relationship between the pieces of the information, then we can derive the knowledge from it and we can generate appropriate signals or alerts. Now let us see how. Example, if I can raise a hurricane alert if the wind speed is greater than 100 miles per hour, or there is a 6 inch of an rainfall within a short period of time. So now this information will get converted into knowledge, and when we apply this to a weather forecasting model on an information to trigger alerts regarding the adverse conditions. So the crux here is the IoT system derive knowledge from the sensors attached to the physical devices to control the behavior of these devices, again with minimum or no human intervention. Now just to see, we will just take a simple case study which everybody might be knowing. We will all of you might be aware of the simple lawn sprinkler which is been seen in various parks or various organizations. Now this is a simple device. We will try to convert this device to the smart device, and from smart device we will convert this into an IoT device. So you will be able to understand where what is the difference between the normal device, a smart device, and an IoT device. So you can see over here, this is a simple lawn sprinkler where it will be used to sprinkle the water to the lawn over through the underground pipes and the wall below. So you can see there are underground pipes laid down inside the earth, and then from there the walls will control the bubbler, sprinkler, and all these things. And depending upon the human intervention in the normal scenario, the walls will be opened and the lawn, the sprinkler will be giving the water to the lawn. Okay, so the normal sprinkler system or a non-smart system, the user or the human being turns on the valve manually, or use a remote button to turn on the valve regularly with some hours every day. Here, now if you want to convert this system into smart system, what we can do, we can put some sensors to the various areas of the lawn, which are soil moisture sensors. We can add relays to control the walls, and we can take a simple 8-bit, 16-bit or 32-bit microcontroller to get this data. And depending upon the soil moisture, we can switch on and off the wall. Now this will become a smart system. Now minimum human intervention is required, but still this is not an IoT system because still internet is not connected to the system. So let us see now how the smart system will get converted into Internet of Things system. So we have already connected sensors, we have connected microcontroller, we have connected relay, where now with the input of an embedded system, which is a microcontroller signal to the relays, the valve can be turned on and off. Now, if you want to make it as an Internet of Things system, at regular interval of time, soil moisture is again monitored. But before deciding the sprinkler schedule, before deciding whether to on the sprinkler for a specific amount of time, the sprinkler system will query the database from the weather monitoring system, right? From the internet, where what it will query, whether there is a possibility of a rainfall in next few hours. So if there is a possibility of rainfall in next few hours, which has been predominantly told by weather monitoring system, then this system will not turn on the sprinkler. It can wait for 3 to 4 hours so that the naturally rainwater will be able to use to given to the lawn rather than artificial water through the sprinkler system. Then again, it can query what is the expected day and night temperature, what is the expected humidity, is there any early morning dew. All these things can be queried from an internet database or from the weather monitoring station. And now this information which is coming from the internet and the information which is coming from the soil moisture sensors can be able to decide the schedule of the system. Now you can make this system into a complex Internet of Things system just by adding some more features. Now internet is connected to it. Now you can see the tank level. You can insert a sensors which will measure the level of the water in the tank. And if the level of the water in the tank is low, then you can send an SMS or an alert to a tanker person to fill the tanker, and then you can delay the sprinkling schedule instead of dry running the motor because water is going to get exhausted in the tank. Then again, this is one of the features of IoT. Next feature you can do is again if there are certain underground breakages or leakages in the pipe, you can again detect it by the sensors, the leakages, and your system can be as complex as that. Whenever that breakage or leakage is detected, with the underground sensor, you can know the exact locations based on the flow of the water where the leakage is happening. And your ERP or enterprise resource planning system can have database of the plumbers in your nearby vicinity. And as the system has detected the flaw, it can directly dial or it can give an SMS to the routine plumber or the maintenance guys, which can come. And all this can be done without human intervention. So see how the normal system can be converted into smart, and then smart with the help of internet. We have enormous amount of applications, and this can go, the possibilities can grow, the complexities can grow depending upon your requirement. Again, one of the important is you can even do the money transfer in advance while you're scheduling the appointment of the plumber or the maintenance employer. So as every system has its own characteristics, IoT will also have its own characteristics. Generally, these are the 6 characteristics. They are dynamic and self-adapting, self-configuring, interoperable communication protocol, because many sensors will use many different protocols to communicate with each other. So one person should be able to understand the other person's language, or the sensor should be able to other. And the most important thing is unique identity, and they should be integrated into the information system. Okay, so every entity which is a part of an IoT system should have a unique identity into it. So just an example of dynamicity, one of the example is the smart cameras used for surveillance can adapt to their modes between normal or infrared, night vision, based on the day and night, and you can again zoom in, zoom out. These are the, depending upon the conditions, they can change their operating mode, that is called as dynamicity. Similarly, I have already given you example of zero configuration or self configuration as an USB device, which is plug and play. Every or auto upgrades are also required, so that is can be achieved by self configuration. Whenever you are part of internet, every with the help of IPv4 or v6 protocol, you get a unique identity, and that identity is important because from where you are collecting the parameter and at what time you are collecting the parameter, that is important. Yes. Any questions?
माझं एक ऑनलाईन ट्रेनिंग चालू आहे, मी विसरलोच.
Any questions, or should I continue?
You can continue, sir.
Okay. Okay. So these are the various characteristics of IoT devices. So physical design of IoT, we are going to go into detail in the next session. So just to give an overview, IoT device which have a unique identity and can perform remote sensing, actuating, and monitoring capabilities. So devices they have to exchange the data with connected devices, collect the data, send the data to the centralized servers, or if not, cloud-based application for backend processing, and perform some tasks locally and other tasks with IoT infrastructure based on temporal. So all these things needs to be a part of your IoT device, or end. Sometimes we call it as an end device, sometimes we call it as a physical device with various names, but the functionality of those devices will remain same. So you can see these are some of the things that end device should have. They should have an IO interfaces for sensors, various protocols to support sensors sending data from one part of the device to another part. They need to connect it, as it is an IoT application. They should have some sort of connectivity. Then they should have memory to store the intermediate or data which is getting captured from the sensors, and obviously they should have processing and input-output capabilities. So the next thing is various IoT protocols. So IoT generally follows TCP/IP protocol stack, which has been divided into 5 layers, not the normal OSI model. So the 5 layers is physical layer, which I have not shown here, but physical is the first layer. Then link or data link layer, network or internet layer, transport, and then on top of it the application layer. So various protocols which are supported in various layers have been mentioned over here. Now in internet layers, we use IPv6 nowadays, because as a number of devices started connecting, so every device which is on the internet has a unique identity, and IPv4 was having 32-bit addressing scheme. So 2^32 address was generated, and it was exhausted way back in 2016. So as and when your device or any device which gets connected to the internet it acquires a unique identity. So now we have IPv6, which is having 128-bit unit addresses. So you just imagine the amount of addresses which are available nowadays. So you can just do a rough calculation of 2 raised to 128. So these are the addresses which are available, or unique addresses which are available nowadays when any of the device will get connected to the internet. And these are some of the logical design considerations of IoT. So device we have already.
Sorry to interrupt, sir.
Yeah.
What about 6 low band? 6 low band.
See,
6 low band.
Yeah, 6 low is this is low power wireless personal area network. Okay. So this 6 low PAN can be used in your the network which are confined to your own. You design your own personal area networks by using ZigBee protocol or such kind of protocols to transfer the data from a link layer to the internet. So the full form of 6 low PAN is 6 low power wireless personal area network, which is generally a secured network confined for a very small area networking. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So devices we have already discussed the end devices. The communication protocols we have discussed. Security we are going to discuss in detail in the third session. What are the security aspects and what are the management aspects? Management of any of the IoT devices. So we will just go through that aspects and application, as we all know, smart home and various on top of that the application level supports which are required using either MQTT protocol or HTTP protocol or any other protocols. Okay, so as I said, the various management services are provisioning and authentication. So whenever any device cannot be a part of your IoT network, it needs to have its own authentication code to be a part of the network. So that is the part of a management layer of IoT device. Then configuration and control, monitoring and diagnostics of that particular IoT application, and updating the software or any other aspects will come under the management aspect of IoT devices. Now, the last part of this session is, okay, before that, this is one of the things that, as I said earlier, that IoT is amalgamation of various technology. As a IoT is generally an application which is built on various technologies coming together. Okay, so what are the various technologies which are involved in completing end-to-end application of IoT? These are, to name a few. One is embedded systems, then sensors, actuators, communication and network protocols, WSN, which is called as wireless sensor network, cloud computing, web services. Again, the details of cloud computing, web services, big data analytics, all these things. I have seen your schedule, which will get covered from tomorrow onwards. So all these technology, these are all the technologies which will enable IoT to develop an end-to-end IoT applications. Okay, so you need to have knowledge of all these technologies to develop an IoT application. Okay, so it is not just like if you know only embedded systems, you will be able to develop an IoT application. You need to know communication and networking protocol. If your data is too large, you need to take care of pushing that data to the cloud. Then you need to do the analytics on top of it with the help of web services. Then your application development, all these kind of things you need to know. Okay, so the last topic of this session is the various levels of IoT and deployment template. So right from the simplest model to the complicated model, your levels are been defined by the global standard organization, and we make it as a generic assumption to identify what is the level of an IoT system which we are going to deploy. So various elements which are been considered for designing the level and deployment templates are, first is end device. So we have already discussed end device is a physical device which allows identification, remote sensing, actuating, and remote monitoring capabilities. Okay, so end device can be multiple end devices, or it can have a single end device also. Then what are the resources which are required to enable these end devices? The resources are the software components of IoT devices for accessing or processing or storing the sensor information. Then controller services. These are native services that runs on the end devices, which interacts with the web services, such as you want to send the data from your end device or the hardware device to the web. So you might be using HTTP protocol and MQTT protocol, or you might be using some services from Amazon Web Services. So these are all native services which are controller, which we identify it as a controller services. Then the database, whether the database is either local or it has been stored in the cloud, the data which is getting generated, where it has been stored. So either it is stored in device or at the edge, where or at the cloud. So it depends on what kind of level of IoT system you are deploying. Then the web services, the link between IoT device and the database and analytical components, that is the through internet you have that. And then you have various analysis components which are required for data management. So where they are, like where you are doing analysis locally, or you are doing analysis of the data at the cloud, depending upon that. And your applications, that is the end user GUI or thing, that is the user to view the system status and view the process data. So depending upon these fundamental blocks, various levels have been defined. So let us see level one by one quickly. So you can see a level 1 IoT system is nothing but there is one device or monitoring node that is connected to the end device. It has its own resources, its own controller services, which is being given to the database. The database is again a local database. Nothing is there on the cloud part. Everything is available locally at that place only. And through your web services, that is where REST or WebSocket services, the web services, you are sending this data to your app. App is generally a mobile app or web app, whatever the app you are going to utilize. So these are suitable for modeling low cost complexity solution where data involved is not big, where you can manage that data on the device, because anytime you have to take decision, the device will take the decision. There is no storage, big storage of data required. So there are certain applications where the data generated from the sensors are not too big. So no need to go for expensive cloud services for pushing your data unnecessarily to the cloud and spending your money on top of it. So the example is just a simple example is it can be used in a home automation system, which has a single node that allows controlling the light and various appliances or applications in the home remotely, such as fridge, washing machine, your if you have a automated door lock system that can be connected through the internet. Now this device use interfaces with the light and application using relays. Now now here, as the data will not be generated heavily, so light will be either on or off, fridge will be on or off, washing machine will be on or off. So data is either 1 or 0. So you don't require complex cloud services for processing the data, and you can employ REST-based web services to send this data from your house to the other cloud-based application. The controller services continuously monitor the state of each applications. The applications which are deployed locally are, just a minute. Okay, sorry. So this is generally a simple system where it does not require a complex data management. So that is level 1. Now you can see the difference between level 1 and level 2. Here you have locally the device, resource, and the controller services. The monitoring node is also there, but you are managing your appliance at cloud. So you send the data to the cloud. The database is in the cloud. Your interaction of the application with your devices are through the cloud native services. Again, you can use the similar protocol REST and WebSocket. So where the data involved is bigger, but the analysis can be done either locally or remotely, depending upon this. The level 2 IoT system will be there. Now the example is whatever we have seen, sprinkler or smart irrigation, where it monitors the soil moisture level and control the irrigation system. Now here, there are n number of sensors, so data will get generated more. So depending upon that, you can send the data to the cloud to take a necessary action, because that huge data cannot be taken care at the local level. Now level 3 is similar to level 2, but here the complete solution or the complete management of the data is put inside the cloud. Okay, here again the data involved is big and analysis requirements are computationally intensive. So all the analysis will be done in the cloud instead of at the local level. In level 2, some of the analysis can be done at local level, some can be done in the cloud. But here, as the data becomes more and more intensive, it can be analyzed in cloud, and applications are always cloud-based. So again, example of level 3 system is your package tracking system, where or you can say shipment tracking system, where it will be able to monitor the vibration levels, and the vibration levels are continuously changes, and you can deploy your accelerometer gyroscopes to monitor the various vibration level and send that data real time to the cloud using a WebSocket based services. So these are the things where the data will get generated more frequently. And I will give you the simple example of this package tracking, a real-time example. When you are expected to take a delivery of a fridge, nowadays everything buys everything online. So generally, when you see nowadays while shipping the fridge, or there is a protocol where the company specifies that the fridge should be vertically handled. It should not be horizontally kept, and all these kind of things. So if such kind of sensors are being put into the fridge shipping kind of things, and when you order the fridge, right from the packaging and delivery tracking, if that data is been given to you as a customer, and if you know that the vibrations and other things have crossed the level which should not have been crossed while transporting the fridge from the factory to your place, with this data you can deny the delivery of the fridge also. So these kind of things are coming up nowadays, where the customer gets everything, right from packaging to delivery, the data details, and depending upon that he can take appropriate decisions. So this is a level 3 IoT system. Now the complexity of level 4 IoT system, you can see, increases. There are more number of monitoring nodes or devices which comes into picture. Remaining thing, now here one more thing is observer node comes into picture. As for every node, there will be every device, resource, controller services. Then obviously as the multiple nodes are being pushed, the data generated will be high, so the data will be pushed to the cloud, and the database will be in the cloud using REST based services, and the observer node will observe the which can subscribe to, receive, and to send the information collected from the cloud to the IoT devices. So again here there are multiple nodes, the data involvement is big, and analysis are computationally intensive. So you can take an example of noise monitoring system where you have to monitor of noise of your city. So you require multiple nodes to be placed at multiple junctions of the city's point. Now these sensors will sense the data and push that data to the cloud, to the central server like this, from through the coordinator to the cloud, and then the data will be analyzed, and then appropriate actions will be taken care by that particular level. Now here, here the each node is pushing data to the cloud, you can say, in level 4. In level 5, the difference becomes that there is a coordinator, just like in wireless sensor node. So every sensor will push the data to a coordinator. Coordinator will aggregate the data and send it to the cloud. So that is the difference between level 4 and level 5. You can see here there is a coordinator, which is a local coordinator, which will coordinate with all the endpoints and push the data to the cloud. So that is level 5. Complexity again increases. So you can consider this as an forest fire detection system where you have to monitor temperature, humidity, CO2. Sometimes you have a thermal image sensors deployed at various locations to analyze where the fire will get detected. And then this data will be sent to the gateways, and analysis will be done in the cloud. So the last level is, you can see here the centralized coordinator comes into picture, and that centralized coordinator is again not locally available, it is available in the cloud. So how many multiple nodes will push the data to the centralized coordinator, and centralized coordinator will put your data onto your cloud storage and analysis. So again, the example of level 6 is your weather monitoring, where you have various end nodes with various sensors. End nodes sends the data to the cloud in real time or near real time. It cannot be obviously all the time real time with WebSocket services, and basis that you can do a prediction. So just to summarize the various levels, you can see level 1, it has single node, no big data, no complex analysis. Level 2 and 3 are also having single nodes. Data store is on the cloud. Here the data is big, but complex analysis, there is no complex analysis. Here the data is big, analysis is complex, and analysis is done on the cloud. Level 5 or level 4 onwards, the nodes are multiple and the complexity increases appropriately. Okay, so the last part is various, what are the applications of IoT. So you take any industry. I have put healthcare first because in the pandemic, many applications of IoT has been coined for healthcare. Then you take energy, building, retail, security, home, education. Education as an institute, BITS Pilani, I'll just give you one example of our own institute, what we have deployed as an IoT application. We have established in this pandemic remote and virtual labs. As now our students are across the country, not are in the campuses. So the major impact that has been happened on the lab work in engineering. So what we have done, we have established various virtual and remote labs across the campuses. And student has to book their slot remotely, and they get access to the softwares, to the tools, to the hardware from their own remote locations. And with that particular 1 or 2 hour slots, they are able to perform the practicals which they used to perform, where they were in the college. So with this Internet of Things coming into picture, and that slot management and all these things are cloud based. So already those labs are running from last 2 years. And in our own, like where we cater the industry professionals, these labs are running from last 3 to 4 years for industry professionals. So to summarize this, you can see I have just mentioned various applications coming under various industry. So healthcare is fitness, wearable electronics, remote patient monitoring, then energy, smart grids, renewable energy, and all this kind of stuff. So why we are learning IoT? Because it has a potential in it. So industry-wise revenue, estimated value over 15 years, I have mentioned here within GE estimates. So aviation, power, healthcare, rail, oil and gas. Every industry, the generation is huge, and saving is also huge if we implement IoT into it. Future prospect of IoT. This is the time where in 2006 or 7, where the connected devices become more than the population of the entire earth. Okay, so by 2020, like by last year, worldwide population would have been around 7.6 billion, and the connected devices were 50 billion. So it has crossed around this time, and now connected or IoT devices are becoming more and more as the applications are becoming more and more. So you can see this is the technological roadmap. Again, considering the source of consultancy business integration. So IoT is helping in supply chain by using RFID, surveillance security, I have already told. Then locating people, object. There are certain companies which are developing an applications to locate people and objects. There was a need of locating the people in this pandemic also, those who are quarantined, so they need not to move around their home. So these are the kind of needs that are being pushing this technology to be a more prosperous technology. And then, as I said, what are the research challenges or for academia where we should look for? As massive number of devices are going to get deployed or connected to the internet. So scalability, how you can scale these kind of device, how you can manage, how the data generated by these 50 billion devices will be handled, which is a area of research. Again, with the 5G and 4G coming up, where the internet will have a reliable coverage, then how the cloud services can be moved to the edge of the network, which is nowadays called as an fog computing. How you can improve the processing and storage technology. There are researches going on in the memory, how to make the memory footprint small, so you can store more amount of data in the small footprint. And again, a major is power consumption. And these are the trends: IT services, data analytics, cloud computing, interoperability problems, and security. So these are the things again which can be individual area of focus in IoTs, which can be treated as a research as well as job opportunities for the students. So this is all from for this session. Now I am open to take some questions. Next 5 minutes. I will just go with if anybody has any question, I am open to answer them. Okay. Do you have any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask me question if you have any questions, or we can start with second session. The second session will focus on more practical aspects. I will be sharing you 2 of the case studies which personally I am involved with. One as a capacity of a consultant to a company, and second with my BITS Pilani students with IMD for generating their proof of concept, which now they are going to go into commercial mode. They have asked some vendors to deploy that kind of IoT application for them.